Welcome to this week's edition of Las Películas Sábados Gigantes.
Woo!
Yeah!
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
This is the weekly podcast where we talk about the movie we watched in our group, in our little movie society. If you need directions on how that works, you can refer to an earlier podcast. You can refer to podcast 0. Which will be up sooner or later.
Which doesn't exist yet.
Doesn't exist yet, but sooner or later. But by the time we get this thing going, by the time we actually get it up,
Yeah, we'll have it.
that'll be what's up. So we are in the middle, winding down our theme of the improper 1930s, which is all films either set between or filmed in 1930 or 1939, or at least between then, or set between
During those
1930
days,
and
yeah.
1939.
Almost done.
And we've had, they're actually, with the exceptions of Garrett and Snig, now Matt won tonight. Dr. Mathusela won, so that leaves just John and myself eligible alongside Garrett and Snig.
Coin flipper for the Rosa brothers.
So let's go around the table and introduce ourselves again really quick before we get too familiar, starting with me and going clockwise to my left. I'm Ed.
I am John.
I'm Zeb.
I'm Chris.
I'm Matt.
All right. So tonight, as we said previously, Matt won the super randomized lottery
of odds being 33.333%.
forever, right? It never ends, right?
Forever.
Right.
Well,
see.
33.3 bar.
So is it?
Oh, don't.
Oh, dude, come on! I didn't even get to bar.
Bringing the
I
knowledge.
didn't. You didn't, man. Good thing you didn't ever try to tell me about bar.
That would just throw
It would have
everything
fucked
off.
everything.
Did
everything
all
up.
my work down the drain.
So because so many films from this era are short, we had another double feature tonight. Not a double winner, but a double feature. Matt picked 2 films because each one was under feature length time. Is that waiting for me?
No, it's waiting for Chris.
Okay.
Oh.
And Matt picked the mind-boggling L'Âge d'Or, the Golden Age,
right?
from 1930, and from 1933, The Invisible Man. Another our
Second Universal.
second Universal
and
horror.
second, H.G. Wells.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right, because we had Island of Lost Souls at the beginning,
right.
and our other and not last week.
It's the first one.
Wait, no, it was the last time we got together that we did The Mummy as well.
Yeah, that was the last.
time,
Yeah,
so.
Phil's pick.
And also too, the Golden Age, L'Âge d'Or. That may not even be the right pronunciation. I don't know. I'm not
L'Âge d'Or.
L'Âge d'Or.
d'Or.
Yeah. Garage door. That was as stunning as Earth also from 1930 that Chris picked earlier in the series.
The Immune.
It was, in fact, certainly on par with Earth in terms of.
It was a bold pick, to say the least.
Yeah.
similar.
That's definitely what I was.
Very striking.
going for.
Well, before we get too much into what we thought of it, as we're obviously teasing that we were, indeed moved by at least one of these films. Tell us why you picked them. Start with the Golden Age, and then tell us why you picked The Invisible Man.
Okay, well, the Golden Age, or L'Âge d'Or. I came across this movie just researching at the beginning of the theme, and I didn't know of its existence before then, but I've been always intrigued with surrealism as like the art movement, like in the 1920s, like kind of spawning out of Dadaism.
Yes.
That sort of thing.
I guess we should say up front that L'Âge d'Or was directed by Luis Buñuel, if that's how you pronounce it correctly. I don't know,
Most
because
likely not.
it's Bunuel, and there's a tilde over the N to give it the Enye sound, so it's like Buñuel.
I'm not the linguist of this group.
I think
I
that's
think
the
it's
correct.
Boonwell.
Buñuel, is that it?
Bunwell.
Louis Boonwell.
Buñuel, is that it? Okay.
That's how I always heard him.
He
Okay,
booms
yeah.
very well.
Well, it's the tilde that's throwing me off, just because
Yeah,
of the
it's like
stupid
Buñuel.
3 semesters of Spanish.
Well, pronunciation aside, he was
but
the director.
Yeah, and
then-
he's a known surrealist.
Yeah, and working with
Salvadore Dali, who wrote or at least co-wrote this with him. They sort of Salvadore Dali kind of wrote and he directed, I guess, according to sort of IMDb. So continue.
Yeah, just as the like the art movement. I mean, it was from the 20s. The 20s was kind of like maybe
Where it started.
the peak of it.
Yeah.
I think it might have been very much on its way out by 1930, but still, I mean, it's
How long? Do you know how long it lasted? How long the movement lasted? Because Dadaism was in like the late teens and early 20s.
It was like
wasn't it?
after World War One. Really.
So we're talking between like 1918 and 1930.
Yeah.
I think it was like I think it was over in like the mid 20s.
Yeah, but anyways, I mean, Dali still had his fingerprints all over this thing.
Oh yeah.
And I just wanted to see what it was all about. And definitely a shot in the dark with this one.
Yeah.
You pull the Jason Land and it has to be your guinea pigs.
Yeah,
to check this one out.
I think it all worked out.
Well, it's kind of indicative of the theme, though. There's a lot of stuff that I don't think a lot of.
Well, that's it. I think
Which
there's
is
a lot of.
great.
I think people are taking chances because in a lot of ways they have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
you're
know what
forced
I mean?
to think outside
Yeah,
the box. There's no safe choices.
Even you and I, John, and maybe even Zeb, that have watched like a lot of movies from the 30s. Even for us, it's like still the possibility of bringing something that we don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
is still significant.
I've never heard of the Golden Age, before this.
Right.
So I never would have had a chance to see it if I had been exposed to it through this experience.
Wouldn't surprise me if Kino hadn't have this thing. It wouldn't surprise me. This is the kind of thing Criterion would put out.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because they put the director's other stuff out before. All right. So tell us about The Invisible Man from 1933, directed by James Whale, who also directed Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, I believe, who was the subject of the biopic Gods and Monsters, starring Sir Ian McKellen and Brendan Fraser, which was a really cool, really, really good flick. Written based on a story by H.G. Wells. R.C. Sheriff, I guess, is credited on the screenplay, and starring Claude Rains and Gloria Stewart, rather, from 1933. Why'd you pick it?
Actually, I'm still in the process of reading this book right now.
Yes.
I read that book. It's a really good book.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
Yeah. So I mean, kind of wanted to see the movie version of that.
So it was
Also,
like serendipitous that it happened to be released in the 30s and bitching, and I'm reading this thing too.
Well, there was that. I mean, it was definitely on my short list at the beginning of this theme, and I just thought it would be kind of cool to kind of follow up Kenzie's pick with another H.G. Wells.
Another Wells.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
another 1930s
Yeah.
kind of take on it.
And certainly a contrast to the preceding film as well.
Well, that's another thing. That's the times, the lengths of these movies definitely kind of played nicely off of each other.
Both of them are just
because,
over an hour.
I definitely wanted to show L'Âge d'Or, but I mean, it being kind of an unsafe pick, I thought The Invisible Man would be a very kind of safe.
Right, as you got time to show
if,
another one.
If things turn sour, it would at least
Mm-hmm.
cleanse the palate afterwards.
Nice little sorbet
Yeah.
for after bitter French meal.
But both of them turned out to be pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
I'm pleased how it went.
Yeah, I like them both. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we interrupting
No,
you,
that's
Ed?
No, it's okay.
What year was that one from Invisible Man? The other one was 1930 on the
33.
button, right?
1933. I'm sorry, it's the fucking bowl on this thing. I'm not even lighting it. It's like the goddamn Grand Canyon of bowls, and I've got to just hope that this candy ass little flame can reach whatever corner of this fucking thing it's in.
It's like,
I
throwing a hot
hope
dog down a
it's
hallway.
in the fucking North 40 because that's all the fuel I got left. Jesus, it's taking me 10 minutes.
Full designed for people with a lot more money than I have, apparently.
Well, then, so sorry, I'll have to edit that chunk of silence out there.
Dead air.
So,
and this part we talk about it.
thank God. No, we'll leave that. That's funny. We gotta have a record that there was silence that I cut out. This way, we're totally on the level. All right. Well, then, so that I can actually properly hit this goddamn thing, let's just start with. We'll go around and do the Golden Age first, and then we won't do both movies.
Do one at a time.
One at a time. So we'll start to my left with you, John. Tell us about the Golden Age.
What can I say about this movie that greater men than me haven't already said. I really enjoyed it. It was really bold. I mean, it was different. There was a lot of surrealism going on there. I mean, you feel like everything is metaphorical. Like nothing in that film should be taken at face value, because everything I think is some kind of a message about something else. So when that guy and that girl are like making out at the beginning, it's like, well, but that's not today taken literally. It's everything is some kind of symbolism.
Yeah.
It's a mystery wrapped in a conundrum.
Yeah, wrapped in a chimichanga.
And deep fried to a golden brown. And
Chewy?
stuffed in a pizza.
I thought it was did some bold, like when that the part where she starts. I don't know if she was hallucinating, but the guy's face was all bloody and his eye was all messed up.
Yeah, that was rad.
You don't see that kind of color like in an American film, like in the 30s, like ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I thought that was like, wow, like yeah.
Yeah, that guy actually
I don't know
bladed
if that
himself
was-
for that.
They didn't have the Hays Code in France, I guess, so they were able to get away with that kind of.
But this film was controversial.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
In fact,
Yeah.
Well, Dali.
in fact, I guess maybe now would be a good time to read a couple of the tidbits of trivia
Sure.
to inform this.
Trivia.
Well,
But
it was,
apparently,
it was a banned movie in Australia.
It was a video nasty
I
in
think-
Australia.
I think that was the Australian ad campaign. It was banned in its home country.
They threw ink at the screen during
Yeah.
one screening.
God damn it!
Really?
Because it's something about the church and
The
society.
metaphor, yeah. So it says here,
Which is weird.
according to IMDb trivia, the film was granted a screening permit after being presented to the Board of Censors as, quote, the dream of a madman, end quote. After the film opened in Paris at Studio 28 on October 1930, word spread about the film's bizarre content. On the evening of December 3rd, 1930, halfway through the film, the Fascist League of Patriots and other groups began to throw purple ink at the screen. They then rushed out into the lobby of the theater, slashing paintings by Yves Tanguy, Salvadore Dali, Joan Miro, and Man Ray. Oh, I know Man Ray and Dali. That's and I think Joan Miro too.
Jean Moreau.
Those assholes.
Moreau's real famous.
The producer of the film, Les Vicomte de Noailles. Shit, man, I should have taken French. And Marie-Laure de Noailles soon withdrew the film from circulation.
And it was a birthday gift to her, too.
Yeah, the legal U.S. premiere of subtitled prints of this film took place on November 15th, 1979. Or the 1st to 15th.
Wow,
at the
it took
Roxy
79.
in San Francisco. Commissioned by the Vicomte Charles de Noailles. Every year, the Vicomte commissioned a film to be made as a birthday present for his wife. Due to the extreme reaction to the film, which included the threat of excommunication for the Vicomte, the Noailles family pulled it from distribution for nearly 50 years.
Wow, that's crazy.
The Scorpion documentary at the beginning was an actual film made in 1912, to which Louis Buñuel added commentary. It says, for various legal reasons, the film was withdrawn from circulation in 1934 by the Vicomte, who had financed the film. The U.S. premiere was blah, blah, blah. One more thing. Louis Buñuel and Salvadore Dali had effectively fallen out by the time the film went into production, to the extent that Dali refused to have anything to do with the actual making of the film. On the first day of shooting, Buñuel chased Dali off the set with a hammer.
Oh, shit.
Right.
So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, how do you like them apples?
Crazy.
Well, yeah, it
was controversial.
Well, and it is really. I mean, you could describe it as like the tortured dreams of a diseased mind. I mean, the way the way it goes to that kind of rolling conscious towards that documentary, the Scorpions first,
Right.
And then it's like those old guys like on that mountain, like those peasants, right?
And you know what? I noticed a couple of items of Scorpion symbolism.
Well, I felt that
in
was
their
another
accoutrement.
yeah, and that was another thing that was sort of like a metaphor.
Yeah.
And then even all the way up until like the end, where like all of a sudden then it ends as if the whole thing was somehow like 120 Days of Sodom,
right?
Where it's like, okay, like wait, so like what?
Yes, I think that
is that like another short film at the end, or is that as if what we were supposed to have been watching the whole time was like that? So, I mean, it's the kind of thing you could go back to again and again and get something different out of it every time.
Oh, this is
I think
definitely
you
one of
would
those
have
movies
to.
where it's going to take a couple viewings to really figure out what they were trying to do.
Yeah,
what
and
they were trying to
it'll
say.
stay with you too. Another kind of movie that the imagery will leave you fast. Like you're going to remember stuff from this. It'll be burned into your mind, into your consciousness. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. It's weird. It's different. It's funny how like it almost feels older because it's got the trappings of a silent film because it is 1930s.
Yeah,
so
it is.
It's very early, and
Right,
I almost wonder if maybe because it's like Europe and their technology maybe would have been like a tiny bit behind ours as far as like pictures or something.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing we were talking about with Earth, right? Like that was in 1930s.
1930.
I mean,
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, right on. Yeah.
And yeah,
Same kind of thing. Like it feels like
the
earlier, right?
technology
Where it's
didn't
like
quite catch up.
yeah,
it's
yeah,
crazy.
You would
Those-
need you
the
need some
first half of the
historical
30s.
context
right. It's like
to fully appreciate maybe everything's going on.
It's like the early 30 movies
Even-
still feel a bit like late 20s
Even
movies
that would do it,
or something. So,
But you would think that a name like Dali and Buñuel would be able to procure such equipment.
you think? Well, and it
yeah,
didn't.
for sure.
I think it's just maybe just the way they made movies. Like it's got that vibe of the era from before. Like they're still sort of it's early days of talkies
Yeah.
or whatever. So they're still making them kind of like they used to before.
Well,
They
I
haven't
think
switched up.
the opening with the scorpion. It
Well,
sets-
because that
it's-
was a
it's-
silent movie, basically.
and
yeah.
it sets a tone that kind
Right.
of, even though the stuff they shot that follows is obviously shot more recently in a relative sense. It sets that
That kind of
silent
feeling.
tone in a way for the film.
Yeah, so it's good. Yeah, I would give it. I'd probably give it. I'd actually give it 3 stars. I think.
Okay.
And yeah, but I'd watch it again. I recommend it. If you haven't seen it, especially if you're a student of cinema, I think it's definitely.
Or
something
you're
to see.
one of these people that likes to have weird movies to show people when you come over and they get them high.
I feel like it's the kind of movie that, like, when people
Try to fuck 'em.
who don't go to art house cinema think about movies they show at art house cinema, this is the kind of movie they picture.
This is the kind of movie the kids in the hall were making fun
Right?
of.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, very
exactly.
much so.
Okay, all right, 3 stars. All right, Zeb, tell us what you thought about L'Âge d'Or.
Well, this wasn't really even on my radar. I knew Buñuel and Dali collaborated on Un Chien d'Andalou.
Yeah, Un Chien Andalou. Yeah.
The Andalusian dog. And, of course, there was that scene in Midnight in Paris where Owen Wilson's character meets Salvadore Dali and Louis Buñuel and Man Ray in the diner.
Oh yeah, man, I
Yeah.
should see that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
No,
That's
good.
what I heard. Everybody.
But walking
flipped
in
over it.
Midnight in Paris is not like that. You get more vagrants and prostitutes.
How can you go wrong?
But yeah, this is a movie that deserves repeat viewings. And when I was watching it, it was kind of reminding me of another movie that I was originally going to pick called The Rules of the Game, which came out in 1939.
Yes,
with
which
Jean
is,
Renoir.
Renoir, yes, so
Which
is often hailed by many as the greatest film ever made. We saw it at the Ken actually, and it is almost equally as difficult to follow.
But here's the thing
that's
that's kind
bizarre.
of the collaboration, kind of like unique about the two, is both were banned after their release.
Of course,
Both
That's
were.
how you know they're good. It's
Yeah.
funny. Like,
Well,
oh, man,
it's
they
weird
must be doing
because
something
both,
right.
both took
Well,
place in like a
didn't work out with Child
countryside
Bride, though.
mansion.
Right.
Both had to deal with like society,
The bourgeoisie
bourgeois,
or whatever.
it's called.
we're dealing with like
I
the
hope
more.
Someone translate that fucking word. I hate when people say, "Oh, it's very bourgeoisie." Translate it for us Americans. God damn
We
it!
need the American.
I just call it
equivalent.
like rich people in a countryside. But like both had to deal with like how the bourgeoisie,
yes,
and peasants,
yes.
Please
you
tell
know,
me the mic is picking
interacted.
up the
and sort of the morals
I could do
that sort of
Yeah.
guide either the respective communities.
And just like L'Âge d'Or, the rules of the game was banned immediately after it was released,
Right.
and the rules of the game, the negatives were destroyed. So
criminal.
yeah.
they had
no
to
shit.
piece together whatever they could find, and then
Right.
they finally released the full version in like what 1971.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
And so just like this film, it has its place where it just shows you how fucked up France was.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Back in the
Europe.
30s.
I think Europe in general too.
Well, it was the rise of fascism too.
Exactly. I think that plays a huge role, and I mean you've got
It's post World War I.
and you've got some really cosmopolitan areas with some really intelligent people and some really vibrant art scenes.
It's going to
and
get a
stuff.
lot
It's-
worse before it gets better.
Yeah. But it was
I.e. Hitler.
but
yeah, I know, right? Like, I gotta wonder if, like, that 1930, like, if there was like a sort of an idyllic tranquility that like fell over Europe, like before, like the calm before the storm.
the quiet before the storm.
Like where people are like, something bad is coming, but right now it's rad.
Not in Germany, I
No,
guess.
definitely not in Germany.
No.
not in Germany.
They were hurt.
I get the sense it was never right after World War One. It just ended on weird terms.
It just had to. We just had to. They just had to be stuffing Jews into ovens to make it right.
Kaiser, someone should
Hey,
put him on a roll.
Did I? Maybe I confessed too much of my political leanings there.
Yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
just like Totino pizza rolls, they
yeah.
go great in the oven, taste great in your mouth. Totino pizza rolls. Totino pizza rolls is not a proud sponsor of
Yes,
Big
although
League
we
They're
would-
proud to not sponsor
We'd
us.
be happy to be sponsored by Totino's if they'd like to sponsor us with cash or pizza rolls.
Totino's doesn't scream in the oven.
We
Or party pizzas.
yes, they unlike the World War II Jews, they want to go in the oven.
Anyway,
So yes,
Subscribe to
continue.
this podcast, and we'll send you some pizza rolls.
Yes, yes.
already cooked in the mail. They're just
Yeah.
gonna be dripping when you get them out of the
Just
mailbox.
just eat them right away.
But yeah, this you have to watch this movie a couple more times, kind of let it soak in. This was actually my first time watching it, and I was just like, oh man, what is going on? There's cows on the bed,
like
lady-
livestock in the house.
She's sucking like a statue's toe. She's
Yeah.
making out with an old man, and then it turns into Sallow or 120 Days of Music.
Oh, we don't see any of the good stuff from Salo.
Yeah, no fecophilia there.
No, yeah, no.
But I'm gonna give this
coprophagia.
a high 3. A high 3. It's Louis Buñuel in his early career. He made some really good films after this one.
He
and-
boomed very well.
Boomtown.
Okay, all right, Chris, tell us what you thought about L'Age d'Or.
This movie took it to the boon zone.
Yeah, right.
I loved it, man. I loved this movie. I was just like, what the fuck the whole time, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so good. I feel like I would like to watch this movie scene by scene and try to analyze it and just pause it after every scene.
Yeah, I was
Like-
thinking that. It really
And
needs
just
to be
like break it
slowed-
down,
Yeah.
like stop
slow it
and
down.
yeah.
Like, okay, what did that just mean? You know, like just trying to like think about, like a group of people. It would be great if we could just do that.
You could teach
Well,
a class
it's-
on this
it's-
movie.
It's
Yeah.
funny because I
Where's
felt like
Garrett when you need
Oh,
him?
Yeah,
that's
no
what I was going to
shit.
say.
I wish-
Like
yeah.
Garrett, like if dude, this was the week for you. If you weren't going to be here for Earth, dude, you need to be here for this one.
Yeah, dude.
But it was funny because I felt like a lot of because I'm reading some of the. I haven't read all the wiki to get the full analysis yet.
Yeah.
But just glancing over it really quickly before we did this, before we started the podcast. It's funny because a lot of like the stuff that was like sexual, like I got, you know what I mean? Like I was seem to be understanding like what he's kind of saying and what they're kind of like going for.
Okay, wait.
but
which part though? Like, because I'm
well, like okay, like
The
begin-
toe sucking.
yeah, right.
okay,
No, the
what was
beginning
that?
part.
Yeah.
The beginning. Okay, the beginning.
What?
The beginning part. So like, okay. I don't know why she screamed, all right, but you've got this weird crowd of
in the
people.
mud, right? Where they're in the mud, and he's
right,
like,
okay, and they're
basically, you come to realize that he's like trying to have sex with her,
and
the
you
group
get,
of people
well,
draws their
hang
attention.
on. It starts with this group of people getting off these boats, basically
Right.
like immigrating to some new place,
Right.
And right at the forefront of the group is like these religious leaders, right? Guys that look like they're fucking priests or something. So
I thought
right
they
off
were-
the bat, he's telling you
Oh, yeah,
that,
okay.
like,
You're
or at
talking
least
about
to
those
me,
other priests.
he's telling you that okay, so there's some kind of moral police guiding this group of people.
Okay.
And then for some reason she screams and everyone's like everyone looks
Right.
and they're on the ground, they're getting dirty and they're both happy to be getting dirty, right?
Yeah, they're figuratively like getting dirty, and
Right.
they're literally getting dirty.
Right.
Okay, and it
and then,
drives
the,
it
and
home
then,
that
and
that's
then the
like a
crowd
moral
is like
authority
the crowd is
present.
like the moral police like
Yeah.
we don't think so. So
Right.
they come immediately separate and punish both of them.
Sure.
Right?
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
And right and like and
I don't know how that, but how does that relate to the story though? Like, I don't.
I don't know that there is a story
No, I think
necessarily.
that's
I
pretty
feel
much
like there
the plot
is-
right there.
There's
Yeah.
other things
Well,
because
there's-
it's done in like chunks, I guess.
Well, yeah, they're like little vignettes,
Hey,
but like
there's-
each
there's
one
5
kinda has the
vignettes
same-
for 5 portions of the scorpion's tail. Just throwing that out there.
Wow.
I love how that dude was
That
like
makes
making
so much
time
sense.
with like the women and kicking dogs and shit, and then he's like, "Oh, diplomatic immunity" when they try to bust him.
Right,
And he
right.
just,
Well, no,
walks
but it was like
off.
because like, and then
That
when he
was badass.
shows up again in a totally different locale, he's still dirty. He's covered in filth.
Yeah.
Like he's dressed like he's supposed to be, but he's covered in filth still because he's still got a dirty fucking mind. But he's got these guys walking with him, policing his ass, and then he keeps seeing like these objects of sexuality, and it's driving him fucking bonkers. So he has to fucking sublimate his sexual angst by going and kicking that fucking dog.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah,
dog
that's
like
what I took it
represents
as.
all of the bourgeois shit about society.
Yeah, he
because
kicked
like
their
these,
dog.
these
Exactly.
tiny, it's like he's kicking like everything that they fucking, all this bullshit that they represent when he kicks their fucking
Yeah, I mean, it's
shitty
not even
little
a term,
dog.
and you can just use it as a term.
You know
He
what I
kicks their
mean?
fucking dog, right?
So like I
mean,
kind of was like on the I felt like I was on the same page with him for like a lot of that shit. But then there was much other shit that I'm just like,
yeah,
whatever.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, the first two vignettes, I guess, kind of made the most sense. The thing about if the scorpion was, or if that's just an introduction, probably, but yeah, the scorpion
And I
thing
kept
kind of
looking for
made
stuff
some
to relate
sense.
back to the scorpions.
And then that first part made a little bit of sense. Yeah, if you look at it isolated, I guess looking at it in little parts makes a lot
which
more
might
sense.
be
than-
which might be what's up. I don't know.
yeah,
You know what I mean? He might not be trying to tell like a grand story, or
Right.
just several little stories within
Yeah.
like this sort of
Overlapping
grander
themes.
framework.
yeah. So that anyway, yeah. I was lost most of the time. Completely lost.
But it was a
Beautiful.
good kind of lost.
Gorgeous. One of my favorite parts was when he's trying to communicate on the phone. He's talking on the phone. I don't even remember what he was saying right there, but he is holding the. I don't know if you noticed, but like when he picks up the phone, it's like upside down, and he's like talking to it, and then he's like talking into it, right? And he's like yelling, and you hear the voice. And it's like not even like synced up with his mouth, and then the next time he's like not even holding it up to his ear, and then the next time he's like he's like holding it like hung up and it's like sideways, and then he's like fucking smashing it, and like it's funny because like the voice is still just like communicating like
Yeah,
like,
I
the whole
noticed that
time.
too.
Yeah.
the,
And
the
it's like-
voiceover, like the guy on the other end of the phone.
yeah
It's like it was still perfectly clear to us.
yeah like
And like no matter how hard he like tries to block out what
Right.
the guy's saying,
Dude.
it's like it's still getting through to
Yeah.
to me it felt like when you almost hear yourself saying what people expect in conversation, and you're almost like, how can I get my fucking point across, but then you end up almost just like smashing the fucking phone because now you've resolved the conversation and you've walked through saying the fucking stupid crap that you say 10,000 times.
Yeah.
Like blah blah blah, here's the voice talking, like I don't know if that's what it was, but that's what it seemed like to me. It was really
Well-
interesting. It's
well,
like
but
in your mind you're fucking smashing the phone into the ground, but then like still the voice like in the body just like walks through the motions.
I also would like to point out that regardless of what their intent was, I mean, they're clearly using film as art, and they're trying to communicate something. But if it speaks to you and it means something to you that differs from what they intended, that doesn't make it any less of a valid interpretation. You know what I mean? So I think to get caught up in worrying about like if you were misinterpreting it, obviously that even if that's not what they intended, that obviously like said something to you. You know,
that's what
I
it
mean?
felt like to me. Yeah, totally.
That's how an
always the
art
best thing
film
anyway,
should
right?
work, I guess. It
Yeah.
should be engaging and making you think shit, right?
Yeah. So 3 stars. It was really good. Yeah. Sorry. Also, I did kind of come across this one when I was looking for like Earth and stuff like that.
Right.
But I purposely veered away from French cinema just because it's already kind of celebrated, like French.
I almost thought about
Like when people
suggesting
think-
it for a theme, to
when-
be honest with
Yeah.
you. I've seen so many French films that
When-
are so rad. Like, at first I'm thinking like, oh man, like I'm not going to be into this. And then they're just like so fucking good. And I'm just like, oh shit.
Yeah. No, nothing against them. It's just,
So
like
many
if you,
classics.
when you think foreign film, you almost think French,
Well,
French
you kind
films,
of, or
like,
I think,
like,
yeah.
like,
or-
like
especially
Cannes
when
Film Festival.
when you think obtuse films.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So three stars for you.
3 stars.
All right.
Great movie. Was glad we saw it because, yeah.
Dr.
I wanna see
Matlas.
Tell
us about it.
I'm glad that we saw this movie too.
That's why I picked it.
Oh man, so disjointed, but so awesome.
Yeah,
I knew it was. I mean, obviously, I picked it. I knew what I was getting into, sort of. I mean, I knew it was Dali. I knew it was going to be surreal, but I don't know if I was kind of prepared for such lack of.
Just seeing the artwork, seeing the paintings, the sculptures. You don't know what he's gonna write. You know, in terms of like for a film. So
yeah.
Imagine if you would have been there for the whole.
But I really loved how it just kind of like the progress of it.
It kept chugging along.
Except at the very, very end. I don't know which direction they were really going with that. Like where that one
the whole 120 Days of Sodom thing, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden
like,
it just becomes that, and then just like
and then it's all the end,
and then it just ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. That was the weirdest of the weird.
I mean, it makes a little bit of sense just because I mean I agree with Ed, like the whole sex thing, and
there was a lot of sex in this movie,
and society just trying to like put the morality police like, coming around, and not just having society like one portion of society trying to keep everybody behaving in this certain way, but also being bombarded constantly by like sex is just in the culture,
right?
Like the guys walking past
and getting contradictory messages.
Yeah, exactly. Him being escorted, on the sidewalk, and he passes that poster, which is obviously
with like the legs and stuff,
which it totally turns into a chick banging herself out.
Well, yeah.
When I made that joke that it was a merkin, like.
Yeah.
The hand starts moving, like that's what you see. It's like
what
totally
it's
supposed to be
for.
like a chick banging herself out.
Well, and you notice she has the bandage on her finger
yeah,
too.
Exactly. No, there was tons of that. Absolutely.
And then the waiter also rubbing that thing.
Right.
Well, we talked before about the other day about the hypocrisy in society with sex, where it's like everybody acts like sex is bad and wrong, but then everybody's obsessed with sex all the time.
Because you're biologically driven to be,
right?
Which
but
is
then everything in society is about to try to fight against that for some reason.
It's a weird sort of
rules.
kind of tightrope that you got to walk.
Yeah,
and it's like
it's really weird.
You can't. You have these impulses, but you can't act on any
right.
of them.
And they're supposed to ignore them.
You're encouraged by some people to, at least have it.
Well, it's the driving force between
with whatever,
selling stuff and a lot of other things.
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird sort of balance. So I was definitely picking up on that, and I guess if that is sort of. I don't want to say like gone to it like extended to its logical conclusion, and that's how we get like the 100 Days of Sodom
I
kind of thing.
could see the connection. I could see the connection. The idea that
I might have to watch it a couple more times before I really
because
draw
maybe
the
the idea being, and I don't know if this is something like the Marquita side was going for, like if the people who had their way, who want to make sex so taboo, you would hit that point where like. It would become like it would make it more perverse, I guess. Like if you kept pushing sex further and further away in society, it would almost concentrate it. So that it would be like this super perverse thing, because that would be like people would need that level of release, sort of, because things are so rigid in society.
Yeah,
well, that's definitely part of why he did it.
Like some people talk about that's why
he was locked up and he was pissed.
Well, right. Well, some people say that's why
he's coming to write the most.
That's why Japanese porno is so crazy sometimes.
Yeah, because the culture is
it's so rigid.
Yeah.
The only way these people can get outside the box is when they start writing or drawing these crazy things.
Yeah.
And it could be
like how these like crazy fetishes kind of pop up.
Like it could be like if he was. That's like the idea. If society became so buttoned down that the concept of sex itself was treated like like an anomaly, then
yeah. I definitely think that's what he was going for, because the whole toe-sucking thing with her and the statue, I mean...
That's the least subtle thing of all in the movie.
Well, I thought that was an interesting look kind of at, like, female sexuality maybe at the time or something, just how this woman is portrayed in such a sexual manner, but in not like a debasing way.
Well, I guarantee you that's one of the problems.
It's like I don't know if maybe I'm reading too much in this, but it's almost like we're watching a sexually liberated woman who's sort of painted as the villainess, but only to the people in the movie, not to us. And she's that way because she's so sort of uninhibited sexually.
Well, and that's something the censors probably have a problem with. Is anytime a woman is shown to be, sexual, and is not treated as negative, that's they always have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was definitely for the time pretty racy.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Especially the toe sucking scene.
The
'Cause,
toe,
not just
sucking
suck
and
it.
the bloody eye
No.
were the two most like shocking things in
Yeah.
this
Not the
movie.
kid
Well, I
getting
mean,
shot in
she-
the
she
face.
wasn't just-
That was the funniest part.
She wasn't just
the
sucking
funniest
those
part
toes.
was the
She was like
dog.
full on making out. with
I'm
those
sorry.
toes.
Yeah, no, she was going to town on
The
this.
funniest part was the
She was on
dog.
the field. Yeah, it
Well, that
like
was the
flew
first
away when he
time.
booted it too. It like went up. and
because
gone.
seriously,
That was the
because-
first time he really lashes out with his frustration.
And violence towards animals is often more shocking than it is towards humans.
you don't see it.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, the kid was pretty gnarly where you're like, whoa, dude, like, this movie's
Shot him
fucking not
twice.
holding anything back, right? Like, you see his, like, limp carcass, like, blast across the street when they shoot him a second
That's
time.
pretty good.
But the dog was, because you're like, oh my god, he just kicked the shit out of that dog. Because you're not. It's like when it happened in that Transformers episode,
Yeah.
that Japanese Transformers
You
episode,
don't see it coming,
where
but-
like Starscream whoever went and kicked the shit out of that dog and killed it. You were like, oh my god,
Yeah.
no, we were dying, dude. I'm not gonna like to see
I
dogs
gotta
harm,
see
but it
this,
was
dude.
so over the top. We couldn't believe they killed the dog.
Because the dog comes up to the Transformer's foot and like because Transformers like all huge and there's like
Yeah.
yap, and then he just boots it.
Like,
just,
it like
man.
slams into like a building.
Yeah,
Wait, now what is this? Is this in?
Is it Headmasters or
I think
Super
it's-
God
I-
Master
I
Force?
I think it's Headmasters.
Okay.
We'll find it and show
Well,
it to you
anyway.
sometime. It's wonderful. It is just a wonderful, and it's great because it's for kids too.
Yeah.
you know, and you never have that in
Yeah.
anything American. You know what I mean? And it's so crazy and shocking, but like it's so shocking. It's hilarious.
I'll have to see that.
Yeah, we'll find it and show it.
We
to
should
you.
make that like an animated GIF on the
Yeah, no
the
shit.
dog getting the
Just
boot.
kid and kick. So
All right. Yeah. Well. Anyways,
Yes.
the Golden Age. I thought it was a really interesting kind of narrative on society and sexuality.
yes,
And
what will be
pretty mind bending. I'm definitely gonna have to give it a second viewing.
what will be the star rating on Facebook?
what will be?
I you know what? Just talking about it like for a half an hour here, I think I like it more now. I mean,
Because
there's
it's
certain
sinking
things that-
in and we're mulling it over and
Yeah,
shit. You know what I mean?
think
Like,
I think
yeah.
it's reaching up to 4 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that
Those
brings it to
definitely
me.
have
Yeah. This. I was obviously as a Criterion nerd. This director is certainly
Criterion nerd.
on my radar. The only film of his I had seen before is the Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, or however the fuck you pronounce it.
Bourgeoisie.
And that film had me lost. The Criterion description made it sound like, oh, this ought to be pretty neat and funny. And then it was just so batshit. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it
wait,
was.
Try
what?
Belle de Jour.
And, they put that one out too, don't they?
Yeah, and the Object of Desire was his
Oh.
last film.
Okay, yeah. Well, because, he definitely, I mean, he's not for the faint of heart, you know what I mean? Like, really, the only other filmmaker that he really reminded me of, sort of, as I mentioned when watching, was Alejandro Jodorowsky, because when I've watched his films, there's been similar levels of what the fuck. El Topo alone.
There's a lot of what the fuck.
There's a
We
lot.
almost had a Dune.
Oh, I know, right? That would have been shitballs. But yeah, this film was I knew when I didn't know what the film was. In fact, I didn't even know that this was a thing. This movie, even though I knew of the director. I thought the only thing, in fact, when you put it on at first and I saw the director's name, I'm like, okay, well, we're in for a fucking wild ride first. And then I thought it was Un Chien Andalou, because for some reason, like just the way it opened and stuff, I was like, with the scorpions, like, because I know that I haven't seen that, but it's supposed to be all kinds of gross and freaky shit. And I thought that Dali made it with Buñuel, so I thought it might even be that. But yeah, it was quite a wild ride. Some of the shit is just really hilarious, as well as you can. I mean, I don't know. That's why I always kind of think of us in a way as like the monsters in Jabba's palace. Because like I figured like we'd be the group to like go see like a screening of this.
And be laughing
And be the
during
group
it.
that's laughing our asses off through like a bunch of parts. You know what I mean? And not
Yeah.
because we think it's stupid, but because we're either just like giddy with like awe, or some of the shit is just like the cow on the bed. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah,
it's just
very
over the
absurd.
top.
That was definitely what the fuck. But the cart that came in through the party.
That was
That was
the
hilarious.
horse
Yes, that was great. It was like the scene in Weird Science where the biker gang comes through. Yeah, I did want to mention like Garrett was, dude. We needed him tonight. I would love to have. It would have been really amazing if he had been here because he could have probably broke everything down. For us like, in a way like so simple, and it would have been.
That's what that's about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
That's
exactly.
why she's making out with her father in the end.
right,
a lot
right.
of light that could be shed.
And it would have been fascinating. So I think the group did suffer for him not being here
Garrett, you're
tonight.
missed.
Yes, for sure. And also, I wanted to mention something too about the metaphor thing. That like, I got to imagine. Because for those of us on the outside, like looking into like, this window into the surrealist mind of these guys they're providing for us, they're establishing, these things that we're taking as metaphors and that are allegorical to shit in real life, whatever. It's not beyond an artist to just fuck with people.
What? No way.
You know what I mean? So it's funny, like, how we, as the ones, like, going, like, oh, dude, like, and watching it, we're looking for meaning in everything, and we're looking to always, like, especially with something like this, that is, like, by its weirdness alone, it is letting you know right off the bat, you got to process this in a different way.
Yeah.
So we're all looking for some kind of meaning or significance or understanding in everything. And I got to wonder if some of the shit, like if they're like, dude, no. Just let the cart drive through the party. You know what I mean?
It
And
was
people
stuff
won't
they were
get
just
it.
cracking up at on some set.
They're sitting on set like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
These
having
people are
their
going to be
ass off.
debating this for years.
Right. And it's funny because, like, the fact that these guys are artists, it automatically gives anything they do, like, a legitimacy like that.
Yeah.
But I gotta wonder, is there anything they put in this film, like, where they're just like, you fucking dumbasses, like,
that's funny.
no, that was just to make us laugh.
No,
like, that was just
I
funny.
totally believe that.
You know?
I might be wrong, but I think actually Dali himself, there's a quote from him about something about him saying that for it to be something new, it has to be like absurd. Like you can't have like a new like style or
You
genre
gotta-
or whatever it is of art. I think
you-
he's talking about like painting, but
I look at it like bodybuilding. You have to destroy the old to create the new.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
You
it
know what
has
I
to be.
mean? You have to take what is existing and working
Right.
and break it down and destroy it and expose its fundamentals and try to rebuild it in a new way.
Right.
And that's how art expands and evolves.
Yeah, it's funny
like,
though. It's
like
funny
the body.
because the first time it happens, though, it's
Oh,
like,
people can't
this
handle
is weird
it.
and bizarre.
Well,
but
think about
then
it. You have that pain when you're building. It's like it's like the lactic acid in the muscles. You know what I mean? And for most people, it's like, ow, you're sore the next day.
Yeah, I know.
While they're rebuilding this new thing, like you can't. It's like causing you like some dismay to
it's,
like
what
have
is
it
that?
reconstructed.
Reverse intuitive or anti-intuitive. What is it called?
Counterintuitive.
Yeah, counterintuitive. That you would have to work out again to make your muscles.
Right. So, but
I could definitely see how that how that's valid with them. I mean, there's all this symbolism going on, but
yeah.
If it's not driven home like hard enough, let's just put like some random shit in there,
Right.
Just
Right.
to make it like all that more.
Well, dude,
like get the message across that you have to examine this. You have to get deep.
Yeah. I mean, even look at stupid Robert O'Cop that we're getting ready to film. Like, dude, that's so absurd. You know what I mean? And like, people will just be like, "What?" Right? And it's like, and ideally, people will look for meaning in it. And we're just like, like on the outside, like, wow, like this is so ridiculous to us. You know what I mean? So it's the same kind of thing.
If you know the circumstance in which that idea was cooked up, you would see there's no deeper meaning in that.
Yeah, right.
So, but I thought it was beautifully shot. It was wonderfully absurd. There was lots of moments of hilarity. This is absolutely one to show people to trip them out. If you got friends that you want to go get them lit and make them watch. Although maybe a little slow for
for
maybe
art house
your more
movie
intellectual
snobs,
friends. Yeah,
for art movie snobs, definitely.
But
one to show.
I think I'm probably leaning towards a 4 on this as well, just because this is high art, man. I mean, you know what I mean. So, all right. As we're running low on time, I guess let's get through The Invisible Man, yeah?
Yeah,
yeah,
let's do
that's
it.
All right, so starting
Shit.
with you, John, and brevity is a virtue.
Well,
Broadway?
We've got about 15 minutes left.
I've seen this movie a few times before, because it is one of the classic Universal
And how many stars?
horror movies.
Come on, chop.
But yeah, no, hey, you can't go wrong with this one. They did a really good job with the special effects. It's got to be so tough in those early days. There's no computers and stuff, and you've got to remove this guy, and have him put in a performance when you can't see him on camera through most of it.
You can't. You're not supposed not to see the strings on shit.
Well, yeah,
and they're pulling it around.
I guess that was the first kind of big movie that he had done for Universal. So, and he was a big deal actor, and they really wanted to showcase
Claude
him.
Rains.
Yeah, and so it's great that he's able to be so much of an on-screen presence, even though he's not really on screen through most of the time. He's not a presence on screen through most of it.
He actually got like 7 seconds of film time.
It was when his
When
corpse
he's
at
dead.
the end.
Yeah, when he's fucking dead.
But no, I just like it reminds me of, it's very similar to the Wolfman in a lot of the setup. Like we were talking about how the Mummy's kind of similar to Dracula. This one's sort of similar to the Wolfman. But it's great that when he first reveals himself, when he pulls his nose off and throws it to the peasants,
That's
he's like
rad.
So good.
hopping around and like it's funny but how threatening can a guy be when he's running around butt naked the whole time? Like every time he's like, oh, he's invisible, it's so scary. But like he just like walking
Do
around.
you
with,
think
just-
like he ever would like just brush his like balls up against like somebody or like his ass just to be like, dude?
I would think he would be
I
a
totally
walking,
just cock
talking
swabbed you.
sex offender. Really,
Yeah.
Dude,
I mean,
if I was invisible and like running around naked, I would just take like some talcum powder and just like dab it like on my junk, and then so that's
cock
like
swab everybody.
that's like
Jiggle,
the only
jiggle,
that's like the only visible part of me, and I would just be like
The
walking
bell
around.
end of your cock, like just
You
the
would just like
swinging
make
bell
that
end,
shape.
like
You just make that like
I'm sure
penis
his-
and ball shape
I'm
on the
sure
back of everyone's
he has
pants.
a map with like every women's locker room and like shower like in town and like he's he gets around.
Oh, but the steam though, dude.
Invisible.
You'd see the bubble.
Oh, dude, the steam. I didn't think about that. It's one of the lesser known universe because he's not a
'cause he's
monster.
not a monster exactly.
Right.
He's more of a
So-
mad scientist.
Right. So when people listen up, but it's funny that if the Halloween list of monsters gets long enough, the Invisible
Man's
Man
gotta
will
be
usually
on
get
there.
included.
Oh
but,
yeah, yeah. He's at the Mash, right?
Of course.
Yeah, well, it's got to be.
Or was it a bash?
I don't know
It
if
was a
you
Graveyard
remember, but when
Smash,
we were
I
kids,
believe.
there was some mini-series
Yeah,
they
it was like
did.
BBC, PBS
Yeah, the
ran it. It
BBC,
was wonderful.
It was really well done, and I just remember the scene where he becomes visible at the end when
Yeah,
he dies.
when they kill him.
And right, and like first his like bones, then his organs, and then his muscle
tissue.
and
And
like,
ash.
like that was.
And it was
yeah,
all
bones and
it was
ash.
all BBC serious, like the old
Yeah, they really
Doctor
did a good
Who's and
job with
shit.
it.
It
and
was like cool.
It was really striking, and
we should see if we could find that.
I'd love to watch
I'd
that
watch
again
it again
because
now.
that the image of him coming back into reality like that, or it, just stuck with me my whole life.
Also too, because I think they would, I'm. You don't remember exactly, but I would imagine the like a BBC miniseries would be more focused on properly capturing much of Wells' prose.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what
more,
I mean?
More
So
accurate to the
definitely
book.
more and have a far more like a sort of over the top theatrical feel, but
Yeah.
in the good way.
Yeah, I think this is another must see movie that if you love movies, you got to see, especially scary movies. I'll give it 4 stars.
All right, Zeb.
Cool.
Great movie. When I first saw this, I thought it was like a reboot for the Keystone Cops. Think of it. Think of it.
No shit, right?
Think of it.
Exactly.
Because it's just
shit.
filled. It's not. What I liked about it was the characters associated with the Invisible Man, such as the innkeeper, the police chief, everybody
Right.
trying to get him. But it's a great film and a great voice actor in Claude Rains because a lot of it, he came from that era of radio drama and radio theater
Right.
where you had to rely on your voice acting to convey like evil or being afraid or stuff. But the special effects, especially for that period of time, is really amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
really
still trying to
impressive.
figure out how they did certain things.
Yeah, I think
But I give this 4 stars.
All right. Okay, Chris, tell us what you thought about the Invisible Man. El Hombre Invisible.
trying to segue off of that. I think I remember there's a
Mensch.
technique that they used back then where the actors would get behind the really light colored screen and wear like a white hood and white or whatever on them, and then they kind of like expose it. They make the light kind of low, and then they overexpose it, so the body and stuff, anything like not lightly colored appears there, but then everything else just gets like washed way the f out, and so it's easy to.
You can say fuck.
Oh yeah, fuck. It gets washed way the fuck out.
fuck
Yeah,
out.
yeah, you can. You're good.
Sorry.
You're good to say it on this. This is
Yeah, anyway.
this is big boy time.
Shit. I'm gonna dip my balls in the mashed potato. But yeah, dude, the makeup amazing. The acting also, like, that guy was so rad, man. You really get a sense of how powerful it kind of makes him. Just like his sense of power.
Yeah,
Not so
it
much-
comes in his voice.
I mean,
it really
he's-
comes through.
He's just invisible, but it's like so much more than that, because like he really realizes I mean, maybe to a higher degree than he actually even had, it might have been inflated by his, potential to
Yeah, what you could do with
throttle
invisibility.
people.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
with that you could walk in and like stab the president, and just walk out.
He's
or
like,
something.
he's
Yeah,
like,
and I mean, he exactly
he's like, think of it: the restrooms, the locker rooms, the women's changing stalls.
That'll be mine.
the crappas. Yeah, but the scene, where he turns visible was really well done. It seemed like that.
Or he becomes the visible man.
Yeah, he becomes a visible man. Yeah, really
That's all
cool.
the sequel. The
Just
Visible
him running
Man.
around naked, but fully visible.
The uninvisible man.
with talcum powder on his bell end.
I thought it was incredibly scientifically thorough. Considering for the time, it didn't seem like there were a lot of holes. They really go into such great detail to explain to you. I guess it's because of the book, right?
Yeah, I really think that's H.G. Wells. That was
Yeah.
definitely his style to go like very kind of realistic.
Yes.
So much
with
so you
these-
think
with
it'd be
these fantastical-
possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Like
really
so
give
much
a
so that
sense,
you'd
yeah.
swear that you could
That's why it's science
you could,
fiction.
Right, you could go into a laboratory and cook up the thing from the book and
Right.
actually
Yeah.
this stuff was really
He
plausible.
does a really good job of getting past. Well, okay. Well, what if you just did have a serum that made you invisible, and then it opens up all these other problems,
Yeah.
It just turns the guy into a maniacal fucking lunatic. I don't know if that was the effect of the shit on his head or just being invisible, but
Well, it's like that question: if you got superpowers, would you
yeah.
become a superhero? Or would you become a supervillain? I mean, a lot of people, even normal people,
Well, I'm gonna say
given that
hero,
kind of
but-
power. Well, everybody would
Obviously,
say that,
but-
but who knows?
I would be a
Yeah.
villain straight up.
Is it?
Yeah, I think more people, I think would become
Might be some
villains than would
unsolved
admit.
crimes.
To
I
it.
think I'd become
That'd be a hero.
I think I'd become a serious sex offender, but then I do some good stuff too to balance it out.
Yeah.
So I wasn't such a bad dude
Right.
after all. Like, well, he did put on
go
a
go
he
through
did
your like sex offender phase
Yeah.
of being like a supervillain.
like he did
and then like you feel like the remorse, and then you want
Do
to get like
something
super
good.
altruistic.
It's a
and,
pendulum.
and then I get a cat
Yeah.
out of a tree, and I feel, it's like, well, he did dress up in garbage bags and hide in a women's like honey bucket and wait for them to take a shit
Yeah.
and videotape it.
Honey
But
bucket.
but then he also like stopped some guys from driving drunk.
It's like Superman, because he's got X-ray vision, so he can look at every woman naked if he
Yeah.
wants to. But they just let it slide because he saves so many people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's doing it. You better
Well,
do
let
it.
that one go,
If
Superman.
he isn't doing it, I want to slap you. All right, Chris. So, what is your star rating on the Invisible Man? As the time is
Yeah, 4
winding
stars
down?
on that.
Excellent. All
Yeah,
right,
4
Dr.
stars.
Matlas,
Great movie.
the Invisible Mensch,
The one and only.
EE.
No hollow mensch here.
No hollow Mensch.
Yeah, I like this movie. It was first
Oh,
time.
Kevin Bacon is hollow Mensch. He's like a
Hol-
nice
hol-
guy.
Hollow
Like,
Mensch?
he's like he gets like invisible and does like super nice things. He sneaks breakfast in or something.
It's
Hollow
Phil.
Mensch.
Phil Holloman.
Earl Hollow Mensch.
Holloman.
Yeah, I was disappointed. We went to see Holloman, and Earl Holloman, it wasn't a biopic. I was expecting a biopic on Earl Holloman, and I didn't get it. All right, so Earl Holloman aside.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're talking
first-
about Holloman.
somebody say Holloman?
Hey, it's Earl Holman. Did someone say my name?
Did somebody say Bonwell?
He's spinning in his grave right now, but in the good way. It's the good kind of spinning.
First time seeing this movie for me. I
So,
liked
okay,
it.
so double whammy on the
Yeah, I was definitely
on the
picking blind here.
non-C. Excellent.
I thought the acting was very well done. I mean, like the part where he's going crazy and like going down the street. This is after he reveals himself.
Right.
So
And,
that whole
he's
scene
kind
is
of going
awesome.
Yeah.
and he's going on this rampage, and he's just kind of like tossing stuff over, and like you don't even see him. You see the stuff moving, but you could almost like see in your mind like his acting.
Him
Just-
getting
just-
drunk with power, basically.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
Well,
the
that's how well it's
intoxication
done.
from power.
It's like you can picture, like, even though he's invisible, like your mind believes there's like an invisible guy there.
Right.
It's like how I mentally totally believe the Muppets.
Right.
Like you buy the Muppets, or like you buy that Kermit the Frog is actually like a 3-foot tall felt frog.
Yeah.
And you're not picturing him with Jim Henson's hand up his ass. You believe that he is that
He's a real guy
creature.
going, "Hi-ho."
And
Yeah,
when you're
exactly.
watching that scene, yeah, it's like you believe that there's an invisible guy throwing that stuff around.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean,
Thank you for believing in me, John. Yay!
Dude, that first scene where you see him like with that wood nose and he just walks in with the snow on him.
Yeah.
So fucking
Yeah, he
badass.
is.
Crazy cat like he is.
It's like, oh, man, no, he's a pretty big thing.
yeah, but I mean that definitely goes to Rain's voice acting. I mean it's pretty incredible.
Yes.
I thought some of the parts were a little bit overacted, but I think
Little ham on the stage
Li-
there
little.
for you.
Kind of
Yeah, a
goes
little
with the
bit.
territory, maybe a little.
yeah, it could be. I mean,
you know.
So 30s, man, that film.
I mean,
the old lady. I mean, talk about hysterical.
Yeah, the
But I think
Estelle
they were,
Parsons.
I think they were kind of going. I think that was supposed to be over the top a little bit. Like I think the idea would be like, as if every dude in that bar would be constantly rolling their eyes at her having, oh god, like here she goes again.
Oh, his
Yeah,
hysteria.
okay, that's just the.
Like I think
the
that
character
woman,
that she's playing
like
was-
that's
was
how
the
I took
overly
it.
hysterical
Right, an
woman.
overly hysterical woman.
Yeah, not that I wouldn't be hysterical confronted with an invisible
Well, that.
man,
But
but
anytime some dude pulls his nose up and throws it at you, like
yeah, of course she was
I mean,
hysterical even before
I'm
she
not giving
found
that
out.
back.
Some lucky fan's got himself a
You gonna throw
souvenir.
this at me? Fuck you. I'm not giving it back, motherfucker.
Keep it
sweet,
now.
dude, a
What do you
nose?
think?
Sunglasses, hell yeah!
I'm wearing
Joke's
it.
Those
on
were
you, I'm a
some
leopard.
sweet
Passing
sunglasses.
out
Those
gifts.
were some sweet sunglasses.
I kind of want those.
Yeah, those were pretty rad. Like
Those
they
are
had
first
like
ones,
the
yeah,
horse
ones,
blinder.
second ones.
Yeah,
They had the
yeah.
blinder, like the horse blinder signs.
That's the kind of
cool.
merchandise they should make for
blue block.
movies.
I kind of
That's
feel
like
like
the really
that's been
cool,
done
like
in a-
Invisible
Yeah.
Man
It
sunglasses.
has a real
Like a
steampunk
replicated.
aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
to it.
it is. Yeah, and yeah, it would be a pretty cool cosplay. Also,
All right, so what are you going to be
I'll give this a
ranking
4.
this?
This is a 4 for me.
Okay,
I enjoyed it.
excellent.
Also the cops, they were fun.
Yes, yes, there was
Yeah,
some
he's
wonderful,
That poor
Yeah.
cat, though.
wonderful levity, moments of levity in
I
there.
wonder what they sprayed him with.
So we had a poor cat and a poor dog.
yeah,
Right, another.
Well, I don't believe the dog was actually harmed. I'm pretty sure they sped it up.
I'm pretty sure he loved getting kicked like that.
No, I mean, not to talk shit or anything like that, or ruin the suspension of disbelief, but you could tell like they slowed it down and then he just placed his foot and like lifted the
Really
dog.
did it. So yeah, that really took me out of it. I was bummed.
ruined
I'm
the
sorry.
movie.
Yeah.
Lost
sorry.
a star right there.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So
I
me
was
for
hoping
the
for a real
Invisible
dog
Man. Yes, I too enjoyed this movie thoroughly. It is an interesting. It holds an interesting place, I think, in the Universal monster canon, because you know the big ones. Well, at least
You got your big really 4.
yeah, because Creature's kind of a weird.
He's a little bit. He's kind of a B. And not that he's not awesome, but like the way society like kind of views them, it's like you got Dracula, King of the Monsters, right? Frankenstein, right? That's the
Right-hand
fucking
man.
crown prince right there. Yeah. Then is you got to give it to the Wolfman
Wolfman.
because that is another classic. Then
Mummy.
right? And he really kind of rounds out that main group,
Right.
And then it's like then you hit like the B list, and
Right.
that starts with Creature. And then you've got
Gilmench.
right, and then you got the Invisible Man,
Right.
and then you've got the Hunchback,
Yes.
and you've got the Phantom of the Opera, who then Andrew Lloyd Webber further screwed that up because then it's like it's hard to be
got in there.
right, and so it's hard to view him as being quite as monstrous,
But
a little
but
more like
What about Dr. Jekyll and
metrosexual.
Mr. Hyde?
It-
He's in
Dr.
there,
Jekyll
too,
and Mr. Hyde.
it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
neat
No, it's
because
true.
it,
Yeah,
it's
Which won an Academy Award for Frederick March.
Oh,
Best
wow.
Oh, no
actor.
shit. Wow.
what do
Man,
I
that'd be a
what do I
good
know
one.
him from? Why I know that name.
Frederick March?
Yeah, he's got to be in a ton of shit, right?
He was in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, The Best Years of Our Lives, 7 Days in May.
Keep going.
Uh,
Never
on,
mind.
dude.
Just have to IMDb
Never
him.
mind, never mind, never mind.
IMDb that shit.
Yeah, well,
There's an app.
but yeah, like because it is set like in Europe, kind of, but it's not like it doesn't seem like it's set as far sort of back in time. But even though it actually kind of is, but
it is still well, because it's an H.G. Wells story, so it still is.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be around like 1880 or something.
Yeah,
They have radio.
But I mean, there's no like forests, so it doesn't.
It's true.
It doesn't feel quite.
It was not. It's not as gothic.
Right. Right.
And being like you said, it is science fiction more than gothic horror.
Right. Right.
And so even though it gets tied in with that universal scary movies kind of, I mean, it's not a monster movie.
Right.
It is, you know, it's got the science spin, whereas the other monsters are all things that are rooted in the past. You know, mummies and vampires and werewolves, that's all stuff in the past. This is something where it's the concept of science and technology, things sort of from the future.
Or today.
In a manner, creating new modern monsters.
Right. Right.
So that does give it a different
it's
vibe.
like looking at the past and the future.
Right. It's like elements of the past and future combined to make something not quite as good as either.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I do want to mention, of course, Claude Rains' performance. Not that it hasn't been mentioned already, but yeah, he is just wonderfully maniacal. Because I imagine because of the stuff on his face, I imagine that he ADR'd the performance.
He did.
And they dubbed it over, so he's recreating it in the studio, which, as a veteran of radio, I'm sure was a piece of cake for him.
We should get him on.
But yeah, we should talk to him. We should get an interview with him. But he really. It just is so wonderfully over the top, and like,
yeah, he really sells it.
Like right off the bat, the guy's like, he's an asshole, kind of like you're kind of supposed to be on his side, but you also kind of like are not, because the guy's kind of a dick.
Well, it's one more situation where it's almost like we've talked about, like when people go back in time, like to try to save like President Lincoln, and like they always act all crazy and nobody believes them, and it's like, why don't you just say you overheard John Wilkes Booth talking to somebody that he was going to assassinate the president
instead of being
like,
I'm from the
like,
future.
oh yeah, I'm from the future and I can't tell you why, but and it's kind of the same like, hey, Invisible Man, how about you're just nice?
Yeah, right.
You do everything the same.
Pay your
Right.
damn
But
rent.
That's
Right.
it.
You
Pay your rent, and they'll
you're a
leave you
nice
the
guy.
fuck alone.
Like, how about when the old lady brings you lunch, you just let her set the tray down and leave?
Yeah.
Instead of throwing her down the
and
stairs.
slamming the fucking
Right,
door.
and then
saying
you'd
about-
be able to do your thing.
Yeah. That's what I was
Pay your
saying
damn
about.
rent.
Did
Yeah.
the chemicals have an effect on his mind?
Well,
Well, yes,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
That's why he was
the
such
two
a
other doctors were
douchebag,
talking
though.
about.
Right.
So it's like obviously
totally
we talk
blame
about that
him
because
for it.
it was the a side effect of the chemicals, whatever. But anyways, I guess to sort of start wrapping this up, it was a lot of fun. It was cool, just the right length. Rain's way over the top. Also, I do want to mention how cool the costume really is. It looked different at different points in the film, and it always looked unsettling.
Yeah,
There's like 3 or 4, maybe even
And
more
what's
versions
crazy,
of it.
like there was the one scene like where he's like sitting, he's having like breakfast or dinner with the dude, and he's talking, and you can almost see the lines of like his mouth and nose, like and under the wraps, but you can't really see it, and it gives it this weird villainous like look that's just like really bitchin'. I don't know. I'm sure I could find out. I'm not sure who designed that look and that costume for him, but that was fucking bitchin'.
Yeah, it's
I
a great.
thought that
he
was
looks like
great.
a super villain with the
Yeah,
whole
the-
thing.
I thought it was
just
amazing.
the way they wrapped the bandages really.
Yeah,
it
the way the
looked evil.
nose and the
Yeah.
eyes,
Yeah.
and then even like a weird lump on the side. It looked like he had like a hat under there sometimes.
Kind of weird. Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna give. I'm torn between a 3 and a 4 on Invisible Man. I'm gonna have to settle on that one during the week.
To decide, mull it over.
yeah.
See how you
Yeah, I was
feel.
kinda
Because I'm like a
confused on
3 and a
both of
half, but I always can't do that on the Facebook. So.
I almost want
Yeah,
to. I almost
I
want to
kinda
bump
almost-
up the golden age to a 4.
Yeah, well, because you went first.
Well,
that's what I was talking about.
the more I think of it, it's like,
Yeah,
I
right.
forgot about that part. It's actually,
So all right, well, so I guess that'll wrap it up for this week.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
We'll be back next week. We don't know who's going to win, but we do know John and myself,
We're just gonna flip a big old coin.
unless Garrett or Snake
The biggest
shows.
coin you
Could
can find.
happen, yeah. Which would probably be a
Uh,
$1 coin, I guess. Is that the biggest coin?
but yeah,
50-cent
No, there's
piece.
bigger.
We'll have to go. No, yeah, the 50-cent piece.
I'm gonna flip one of the giant stone coins of the Yap Islanders.
Good luck.
Right through the
you
floor.
better start now.
Just like goes right through.
You're gonna
the floor.
flip it once.
Flip it off the balcony.
Like it really exists. Are there even Yap Islanders? Like hell no.
Just shatters into 1,000 pieces.
Okay, so yeah, we'll be back next week with another movie either set in or made and released in 1930 to 1939. So going around clockwise to my left to outroduce ourselves.
I am John.
I'm Zeb.
I'm Crisp.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Ed. And yeah, we'll be back with another edition of Las Películas Sábados Gigantes next week. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.